I would assume.
Matt Stryker and Maria hosting the Randy Savage DVD. That was lame beyond belief. I mean, I don't mean to knock Matt Stryker and Maria, but
nothing against
lame.
But it's kind of like, if you're going to release a DVD on somebody, get him in to talk about his own career. Do an interview.
I mean, maybe that's just it. Maybe there was a certain line that someone with a very pronounced signature walk said, okay, we'll do the best of Savage, but I am not going to bring him in for an interview. No, we'll put matches on there, but otherwise we do nothing else for this DVD.
It is what it is, and that's basically what they did. They pretty much didn't do any promotion for it, and it just was kind of like a throwaway.
And it was still one of the best-selling DVDs.
I remember there was like one commercial that I saw, and it was, "The wait is over." Ooh, yeah! And then, showing footage from the clips. That was pretty much it. It wasn't like a lot of the other DVDs where there's like a super push for them.
Yeah.
Like,
they'll give a guy TV time just to push the DVD. Yeah, like Ric Flair got big pushes every time a new DVD came out.
Yeah,
or
exactly.
They didn't show, or like the John Cena experience, because God knows if we needed one thing on DVD, it was John Cena playing golf.
Your collection would be incomplete without it.
Yes.
I'd rather watch Bobby Heenan play golf, but okay. Is that on the Bobby Heenan DVD? I never picked that up.
Oh, it's a great DVD. And I almost used a line from it the other day. Guy was talking to me behind the counter. He asked how long I've been married. And I said, it's been 3.5 years, right? And he said, oh, yeah, I've been married 30 years. And I had to bite my tongue because I was so ready to say, do you realize that if you had killed her on your wedding night, you'd be out by now?
That is great. Bobby Heenan.
Yeah. I'll say this.
He was one of the guys that could elevate. It's a Rock-like quality. I'm not trying to put Bobby Heenan on the level of The Rock, but I'm saying, the show could be complete shit, but he could elevate it. Just his performance alone could elevate the show and make it worth watching.
Well, yeah, I mean, with all due respect to the people that were involved, that segment of the Bobby Heenan show was kind of just a stupid throwaway half hour or whatever at the tail end of whatever show it was. I'm blanking here. But because it was Bobby Heenan, people still remember it and like to talk about it because they love Bobby Heenan.
It was funny. He didn't even talk about wrestling half the time. He interviewed fat people. My favorite one was when
porn stars.
Yeah, he had Heather Hunter, who at the time, this was before porn was cool. So there was 5 porn chicks, and she was the black one, and that was basically it. And she was on, and I thought that was, funny as hell that she was on there. I mean, obviously at the time I didn't know who she was, but I don't.
And that was the birth of the Jameson character, wasn't it? That was a character I never understood.
I thought that was Mike Tenay for the longest time.
I mean, you want to look up a character that I just never got, Jameson.
Hey, let's get a retarded guy and make fun of him. Okay. Let's make fun of him.
Let's put a pumpkin on his head and have Hacksaw Jim Duggan whack him with a 2x4.
Well, no, I mean, I'm going to be completely honest here. Half the wrestling fans are not normal people. So why would you want to
Half? Dave, show me a normal wrestling fan, and I'll find a unicorn for you.
Yeah, we're an irregular folk, James.
Oh yeah, we're not normal. We're not your regular breed of folk. No.
Face it, as Chris Jericho pointed out, Patrick sounds like a midget.
I'm a nerd, and I'll own it.
Last week he tried to put over a match with Animal, and Animal said, "Man, you're being nice. That match was shit."
That was hilarious. I need to go back and watch that match again because I remember really liking it.
It was fine. I mean, I guess Hawk sold most of the time, but it was probably because he couldn't stand up.
That's just the thing. As fans, we don't understand what's going on inside the ring.
Yeah.
Sometimes, like, you can just never know.
By the way, I gotta point this out. I'll bite my tongue on it. So, what do you guys think of Sonny going into the Hall of Fame this week?
Well, I'll start, and I'm probably going to get yelled at for this, but she was a very popular character, but I don't think that she's quote-unquote a Hall of Famer. I mean, I can't really, when I think of Sonny, I think of the model. I mean, she was primarily just kind of the hot woman they would send out there, in the latest merchandise and tell you to go buy it. I can't really
okay, go ahead and finish. Sorry.
Moment. I mean, I'm not trying to be disrespectful here. I'm not denying that she was huge, like, and is a gorgeous woman, but to me, it's kind of the equivalent of Hearn in the NBA Hall of Fame just because he happened to be around Michael Jordan.
Oh. Here's my take, and I'm going to go here, guys, in a sec. I don't mind her going in. I don't know if it should be now, but I don't mind her going in because I think she certainly left a mark. And for what Elizabeth and Missy Hyatt brought to, women in the business, playing the kind of character that Sonny did, Sonny took it to a new level and kind of was the first true diva as we define it now. So for that, I
she was smart, sexy, and powerful.
No, if I was going to put people in, my list would probably start with Elizabeth. I'd probably have Missy Hyatt going on there before her. I would probably have Medusa going in there before her. Sherry's already in, so that doesn't matter. But I probably would have at least a handful of other women go in before Tammy. But I'm glad that she is going in because she earned her spot. I do think she earned her spot, and I'm curious how they're going to handle her ECW stuff when, frankly, she was out of her gourd. They played off of that with her soma addiction and stuff. I'm kind of curious if they're even going to glance over that or mention it, or if they're going to pretend it never happened.
Well, to be fair, James, they're putting her in as Sonny. They're not putting her in as Tammy Sitch/Sonny. I mean, even the video package was all about, Sonny, Sonny, Sonny. There was no mention of, her Smoky Mountain days. There was no mention of, her ECW days. A lot of times with those Hall of Fame ceremonies, they'll make mention of, so-and-so got his start in the classic AWA before making his WWF debut and ultimately ended his career in WCW. They at least kind of glance over that stuff. So I think what we're really going to get is we're just going to get Sonny. We're going to get the video will be about the time she was with the WWE. It won't be about any other period in her career.
Right, and my take on her going in, quite honestly, I don't put a whole lot of stock into the WWE's Hall of Fame because there's no real. What the hell was that? Did anybody else hear that?
I heard you go silent for a second.
Okay, never mind. All right. Anyway, there's not a whole lot of validity in the system or the way they pick Hall of Famers. It's just, let's see, who does Vince like and who does Vince think he can make money off of? And that's basically what you have in the Hall of Fame. And that's why, and I don't mean to disrespect him because we've had Coco on the show before and he's great, but Coco Beware, I mean, would you really put him in the Hall of Fame? I mean, really?
Would I put him in the Hall of Fame? Yes. Would I put him in when he went in? No. It's kind of like that. And that's the same way I feel about Sonny. I don't think, and Nick made a great point, and I'll point this out on Facebook. He made a great point. He said, can you honestly name one great angle she was a part of? No, but I can name a lot of great segments, but not great angles. She was never really a part of a great story.
Oh, I can name a lot of great angles that she did. I got pictures of them, too.
But I figure...
She looked great in those angles.
I got to say this, too. I'm not saying that Sonny is divisible by Shawn Michaels, but I am going to say that he's gone into her several times, and that's why I think Rebecca Gigantor Nitro Girl will be joining them on the trip to the Hall of Fame ceremony this year. Because for those who don't know, Tammy has come out and admitted that she did date Shawn Michaels during the height of Shawn Michaels' push. Which
why did you call Shawn Michaels' wife Gigantor?
Because she's taller than he is, and I remember there was an episode of Nitro in '99, the one where Scott Steiner threw Kimberly Page out of the back of the car, and I thought that was great. He threw her out of the passenger seat, right? And Bobby Heenan. Here's another Bobby Heenan quote. Well, that's because she's not used to sitting in the front seat. Oh man, he was brutal when he said stuff like that. But anyway. What were we talking about? Standing in front of the camera saying, "I hope she's okay." And Spice was standing on the platform that the Nitro desk was on, and the girl that Shawn Michaels married, I think her name was Whisper, was standing off of it, and she was still taller than Spice, and that thing was like 2-3 feet, that platform. So that's why I called her Gigantor since then, because she had to be at least 6 foot, at least.
Well, you want to see a funny size difference. Whenever they have Rey Mysterio's wife show up, like when they do a bit with his family or something, she looks like friggin' Godzilla compared to him. Of course, I probably look like Godzilla compared to him, but it's funny to see that kind of size difference.
What do you guys think? Is this Mystico, by the way, that they were advertising?
Yeah.
Sin Cara?
Yeah. Talk about. Oh, James, you just show how much you listen to your own show. Tucker and I actually talked about this last week.
What did you think of the promotion for him? I mean, he looks pretty good, and I have on the store right now, you can buy some best of tapes that I do have of him, and he's really impressive in the ring. But do you think that would detract from Mysterio? Because they're very similar.
Well, I say put them together.
Well, I'll say this, James. It's something that I go with a lot. How much longer is Rey Mysterio going to be there? Realistically,
oh boy,
you have to start building towards the future, and I think it will take away from Rey Mysterio. But here's the thing: now, kind of time to start taking away from Rey, where maybe you can almost do a moment where he passes the torch to Sin Cara, because Rey seems like when the wind blows, he gets hurt, and so I mean. I'd say this, Ray. I mean, with all due respect to everything he's done, but you're like every other guy. Eventually you get old, and you're going to have to retire.
But it's not new for him, though. Even in WCW, at the height of his, really growing, he was 6 months on, 6 months off with injury.
Right. Well, that's the other point. So I don't think Mystico has had any real significant layoff time in terms of injuries going through his career in Mexico. So, I mean,
it'd be interesting to see how he does, because obviously the Mexican wrestlers more work his style and are certainly smaller than the U.S. wrestlers. So it'd be interesting to see if that keeps up. If he can take the beating that the bigger guys can give him, then great. I think it's a good addition, and I'm looking forward to seeing how he does, because he looks impressive.
I've seen very, very little of him, but I've been very impressed with what I've seen. It almost makes me wish that WWE didn't let Low Ki go. And, wish they'd do more with Evan Bourne, because they got, that right there, you got Mysterio, Bourne, Low Ki, and Mystico. That's a pretty solid core of cruiserweights to build a cruiserweight division around. Of course, that would be crazy. No one would want to see that.
Cool. Well, I got to let you guys do the rest of the show here, guys. I'm going to jump off now, but if you guys want to finish up and, talk about some stuff. There's been some interesting things going on. I do want to mention this before I go. This is the last thing I want to mention, and this goes according to what we talked about last week, and I'm sorry that I kind of sound like Chris Berman right now with my voice cracking, but here's what's going on, and here's my take on this. Sting winning the world title.
Oh, God.
I don't have a problem with it per se. And, we can talk about it all the time about how much we disagree with the move. And I think we've all kind of said our piece on it. And I think we all pretty much are in agreement. My concern is the Triple H finish that we got last week, though. After he did the Scorpion Death Drop off the middle rope,